Hello there everyone and welcome back to more Warpforge multiplayer, and this time around we're going to be playing with some new different decks to kind of demonstrate maybe a little bit of potential the other factions have to offer. And in this case I have decided to play with our rambunctious and fun as hell, if not random as hell, Ork boys. And that's kind of part of their mechanics too, I'm not going to lie. A lot of their abilities and spells, even though they are pretty powerful, do have a pretty random element to them, which can be pretty hit or miss, and never mind a nightmare to deal with if you have expectations or rely on them to win the game for you. But that doesn't mean they don't have their place in this game. It goes without saying that if you can minimize the number of targets, then it makes it a lot more reliable to get what you want. Actually, let me do a quick filter. Yeah, let me do that. See if we can figure out how many of them actually have randoms. At least the ones I currently have unlocked. Let's see. Yeah, deploy. We got our 10 mana card there where you just randomly drop 8 Ork infantry. You think this should pay for itself, but if it drops nothing but 3 energy cost type of Ork boys, they probably could immediately get eliminated by a good AoE. So that's probably a perfect example right there on how that can work out. We have no mucking about, probably one of the best type of hard removals in the game, although it does have the caveat on being a random troop removal, which isn't really all that bad if your opponent plays a really big expensive creature for basically playing their entire turn on or basing their entire turn on. Then you essentially only got one target, most of the time at least with this ability, making it nice and simple to use. But if they have a board of monsters or creatures, troops in general rather, that you want to get rid of, then that might be a different story. But normally that means the boys themselves can take care of the mess. Big Krumpas, random damage, and on top of that, we have more randomness in their other kind of special mechanic, which is Mob. Anytime a friendly unit does a melee attack specifically, it will do a certain effect, depending on the unit that has it. So, we already saw the Death Dread there having like random damage. Basically 1 to 3. We have the Shooter Boy, which also does random damage, which can be pretty good. If you want to utilize the mob mechanic, it goes without saying you need a lot of boys, and from what I'm seeing, at least trying to build up cards towards an Ork deck, that's kind of what's encouraged a little bit. As what am I trying to look at? Oh yeah, the campaign. I'm thinking I'm about halfway there. I only got, without using a premium account, or at least paying for the premium access, I only got really maybe 1 or 2 epics and a handful of rares. So with that said, I don't think these decks, as I experiment with them, are going to be very optimal, but at least that's going to be more true to what we can expect early on playing with the boys. Never mind all the other factions when I eventually dip my toe into them. But yeah, I am genuinely curious, what kind of epics do I have? Okay, I actually have a decent amount of epics, honestly. I think I got 1 wild card there, which I crafted for the Veteran Storm Boys here. Our nice big, kind of elite Storm Boy infantry. I don't know if this actually has a place for my deck. We'll get into that in a minute. And I think I crafted the Green Horde as well, which I'll talk more into a little bit. And then the rest I got through doing the campaigns, as they called. I'm pretty certain anyway, since I don't think I had that many options for crafting, and I'm pretty certain I don't got any legendaries. Nope, no legendaries. Let's see, I got most of the rares and at least singles of them, so we are looking in pretty good shape, arguably. So, I'm talking long enough already as is, so let's have a look at what deck I'm planning to using, which I kind of hinted at. Based on the Ork's mechanics, we're going to be doing kind of a rush, kind of a horde, aggressive play. Although, surprisingly, I have more 3-cost cards than I'd have 2 and 1s, to be honest. But at the same time, we do have both the Grots bringing in here, our nice cheap boys, and the reason this is going to be very aggressive is with Tide, which a lot of my boys, at least 3 cost and down, I could play multiple times. And in a lot of sense, this could be pretty useful for investing only a single card in my turn while still having multiple troops on the board to kind of keep the aggression going. So turn 4, or at least when I have 4 energy, I can use my regular Slugger Boys, which ideally I wouldn't want to play it normally after turn 2 for efficiency's sake, and I can basically have two 2/3 boys, equating to a 4/6 in stats, which can be pretty good. Of course, any AoE, any dedicate like board clear can be problematic with these guys. It goes without saying, but Tide helps tremendously in negating the impact that has, because we're only using a single card as opposed to normally 2 cards. And with that said, we have, actually this is not my entire deck, so we have the attack squigs, a nice useful crowd control, a little bit of cleanup, and if anything big and scary comes along, I could just stun it and ignore it ideally. Saving my essential removal for when I really need it. We talked about the grots. I have 2 grot bombs, which if I ever find a window to clear the board of troops, I'm just gonna unload the bombs onto my opponent and get some free damage on them, which basically nullifies the downside of having my boys clear up troops as opposed to attacking directly, in which case they probably would die regardless, whether they're fighting the troops or the warlord. This helps offset that negative, so long as I have an odd amount of energy available for me. Let's see, what else do I have here? The Ork boys, this is the generic Ork boys, they're uncommon. Nothing fancy here. I don't even think you're going to see these after I have a proper deck made, because they don't have mob, they're only limited in real use on the first turn, but they have really intimidating stats you have to take seriously. They will pretty much take most 2 and 3 cost minions out on their own. It's still pretty efficient in their current state. We talked about the Slugger boys already there, nice 2/2/3s with the potential of having multiples of them down. We got Storm boys for the flyer variant, which is kind of interesting, they're 2 costs. I almost wondered if they should have been a 3 cost unit, but I think a lot of the reason is because the only way you can deal with flyers most of the time is with ranged attacks, and their ranged attacks pretty pitiful. So they're not really trained efficiently. It's when they're getting aggressive that table's turn there for the Storm boys. We got the Green Horde as well, which in all honesty I do wonder if this is actually worth having in my deck, because this can actually be pretty hard to utilize effectively. All my troops cost 2 less this turn, but considering it costs 3, realistically, if I use this just to play 2 Storm boys on turn 4, or when I have 4 energy, I'm only saving 1 in value of energy, which then begs the question if that's really worth it, outside maybe tempo advantage, but then I'm burning multiple cards, which runs the risk of running out of cards too quickly. I am not unconvinced of this card, at least early game. Maybe later game if I can somehow keep my hand size decent with creatures or release infantry and troops, this could have some real value there, so long as I'm aware of potential crowd control. And if I can get a decent horde window set up, or at least if I could prepare a mob combo in a situation where my opponent can't clean up, then I got the Gretchen mob for both stalling and just having a numbers advantage. And we're going to talk about why that can be pretty useful in a moment, as we got our big heavy hitter, early heavy hitter, which I'm really liking the potential of, is the Grot tank. Armor 1, 3/3/3, this is hard to get rid of. It does have the caveat of being unstable, which is almost literally all the Ork vehicles. If they get destroyed, they have a chance of doing explosive damage to your own units that are next to them, which positioning is going to be very important. And if I have a full board, then this runs the risk of being more harmful than helpful a lot of the time. So, definitely strongest early game when it's difficult to actually get a massive board going. And then we finally have some Tide 2 creatures, which ideally, to utilize this to its full potential, would be turn with, 9 energy, or if I make it good use of the Green Horde, nice 4/2/3, still relatively easy to kill, but when there's 2 or 3 of them on the board just with this one card alone, that can be very oppressive and overwhelming. I like the potential of them a lot, although I don't get a lot of windows to actually use the Tide ability I'm finding there. And now, talking about why I want to utilize mob and be aggressive, especially with Gretchen, we do have the one odd shooter boy here, who is more range damage than anything else, but if I'm lucky enough to have 2 or 3 units on the field, then suddenly I'm doing a bunch of free damage just having this boy down. And this also counts for the warlord if I get a melee attack in with him as well. it cannot be underestimated. It's just random damage, and it's not likely to kill anything on its own. Again, it's just like what I talked about with the Grot tank. This is probably best if I could clear the board with my troops, and then this guy is just haphazardly shooting at the warlord all the while, or at least soften up my opponent's infantry, so I could clean up that way. Otherwise, let's see, we're moving to the 4 cost now, and I think we only have a couple in this case. Banner Knob for the same reason there. If my opponent can't keep the board clear, then suddenly I'm able to start punishing him a little bit with buffs to my range and melee attack. And I also have the Scarsboy Knob for the same reason, although he buffs himself as opposed to the rest of my troops, or at least benefiting from my attacking, or at least having an immediate impact, what I'm trying to say. I'm not really convinced by him, but he has been impactful, especially with 5 health. He is almost always going to survive until the next turn unless they do some hard removal on him, which there are some hard removals at 4 and 5 energy cost. And they're almost forced to use it on him if I do have the Gretchens or the boys able to build this up to maybe be at least a 5/5 where he can trade. Even trade up in some rare cases. Oh yeah, and I talked about mucking about, I have that as well. It can be really good if my opponent decides to make the mistake of investing their entire turn in something big, especially later game, and then I can just keep playing extra cards in. I would like to put the Scorcher Assault in, but again, I'm trying to be the aggressor. I don't think tempo and control benefits the deck too terribly much, which is why I'm double guessing with some of these decks, like the Green Horde to an extent. Big Krumpa. I actually have do I have 2 of these now? Ooh, I actually do have 2 of these. I might make a tweak to that if I could think of it there. 3 random damage, 6/5, nice beefy. Probably the knob I just showed you before for 4 mana cost has the real potential to be just as dangerous as him. It's really the random damage that makes him impactful, although we're not honestly going to expect him to kill a troop because, again, random damage. But if he can hit the warlord, that's still bonus there for such an aggressive playstyle. And then I don't think we have very much left. We have Get 'em Lads as more of a later game type of punishment if my opponent can't deal with the aggression, and this suddenly puts a massive amount of hurt on them. If not, it gives me a much easier way to deal with a lot of their threats. The Grots suddenly can deal with 3 energy cost cards being 3/1s, or 3/1/2s. It is terrifying, and if I'm lucky enough with my Warlord's trait, which I haven't actually gone into, I'm just realizing, that makes them even more formidable. And then otherwise, I think I have 2 cards left over. We talked about the Veteran Storm Boys. He's a good flanker. He probably honestly doesn't fit this deck the best, but he does have real potential with my Storm Boys, because he gives them flank as well in the very late games. And then we have our final heavy hitter that benefits from Mob, which is the Death Dread. Similar to our Shooter Boys, it's just much more random damage, and it hits a lot harder when it does work out well. The theme I have in mind here is to try and overwhelm my opponent, or at least have multiple troops on the board. And if my opponent's not willing to burn AoE abilities early, then I punish him with a lot of raw damage, especially if I'm lucky enough to have one of my Mob cards in hand, or even the Banner Knob, in preparation for such an offensive. And then otherwise, if I do run the risk of running low on cards, Grook Face Ripper himself, being our Warlord, our Star Warlord at that, he just straight up allows me to draw a troop from my deck, and he allows me to buff it further with the melee attack. It's going to be very difficult to utilize him in this type of deck, I'm not going to lie. But this ability alone is probably going to be the main reason where I'm even going to get any value out of the Green Horde, honestly. Because again, I feel like this is more mid-late game. And at that point, I'm probably starting to run out of cards where I don't even have enough troops to potentially benefit from this properly. Outside of just getting equal trade, which then does beg the question, what's this even worth if that's the case? I'll probably be better off with Tide of Muscles instead, maybe, which kind of the similar thing as the Warlord ability, which is kind of the reason why I don't have it. It just gives me 2 troops instead. Very long-winded, yeah. I wish there was a way I can really talk about my thought process faster. It's a bad habit, I guess, but the main theme is to try and be aggressive, try and pressure my opponent and force him to deal with my board. And I have very little spells and abilities to kind of control said board, outside of the really solid ones that can work out well. The rest are about getting aggressive and punishing my opponent for when they don't deal with them properly, or if they have a bad hand. With that said, I imagine these are going to be a lot quicker games than I have with my Aeldari deck. It goes without saying. But it's going to be fast and furious, and we should have a nice handful of games as a result. Here's hoping. Alright, right off the bat, we're facing off against Nids, which are another horde type faction, but they have their own type of tricks as well that involve a lot of vanguard stealthy play. And I think I'm gonna keep the Grot and the Stormboy, although it is a question if I honestly want the Grot or not, but it could synergize well with my turn my Knob. My Scarsboy Knob.
Back on the menu, lads.
Let's eat. Let's eat. Feast on some bug boys.
Once I get going, there ain't no stopping.
The interesting thing I'm finding is that the Tervagon is the starter kind of warlord you get for Tyranids. And right off the bat, they start off with 5 extra health, so it's not, hopefully, an overpowered type of thing. Although, let's see, random damage. So someone is scared, and they just use their tempo ability, which I'm fine with. Because that helps potentially with good momentum here. And at least sets up nicely for my next turn. They'll kill one of the Grots, but I'll have the Knob ready to get buffed up by it. So this could work out well. Get a couple hits in, sure they're going to be suicide, potentially killing a troop for themselves. And the Knob's going to become beastly in the process. So what did that do? In your hand, oh boy. This could be a problem. Because especially with them having legendary cards. So we have ourselves a 6-5. Unless they have some kind of way to kill it, there's not a lot they can do. I'm just going to be punching them quite recklessly. I don't really have a good turn 5 energy play, sadly, besides playing another mob, which will, of course, or Knob rather, which won't be as terrifying. Alright, so I could take 1 point of damage there. That's not, on its own, it's not terrible. The thing's scary about this. Oh, and he chose Taunt. Okay. So every single one of these should have Taunt then. That's good to note. I could kill that. There's no point in buffing up my... There's no point in the banner Knob yet. But I am wondering what's a good way to go about this. Continue putting on the pressure, I guess.
What's that, stupid?
So yeah. Kill 2 units. I got the mob effect. So this is good pressure, but I do need to be mindful what spells or stratagems my opponent has. They have an for 5 energy, a AoE that does 2 damage, so I'm not in danger of that really wiping my board. And next turn I could get the Stormboy to help ruin his day. This is a really good situation for me, even with them utilizing a legendary card. Is it going to be enough? Another taunt? Nope, this one's not taunt. And interestingly, they're not fusing them together. Not that I could blame them. Now that just begs the question. I like the idea of just building up pressure.
Can't do that.
Oh, I thought I had the energy for that, silly me. Now, do I draw a card or no? Because I think I just go all out here. No, we're punching. We are punching you in the face. And it's gonna feel good. Although this is where AoE probably will kick in. The Ravenous Hunger, I think it's called. At least this is a perfect window for it. But even then, I'm not in terrible shape yet. Because what Ravenous Hunger does at 5 energy does 2 damage to everything, and as you see there, it heals a unit for each one they kill. Which honestly still benefits me, because I did more damage to them than they healed. Unfortunate way having to lose it, but that's fine. I still have a bit of an advantage, and they don't really have any tempo. Now, do I play more grots? I know they just play an AoE.
Oh, maybe a skull of a stick.
We'll see if they have a second one or not. And I have the Storm Boy for anything big and scary, ideally. And at this point, I could just, if I'm lucky enough to draw another Storm Boy, then I can rush down anything big and problematic. In theory. But I am running out of steam, as you can see, because I haven't really had much of a window to draw extra cards, but that will be prevalent here, I think. Because even if I don't have a minion or something I could play... Okay. Oh, this one does have taunt, but I could deal with that some. Get Blast 2. The main reason of doing that is to trigger the Soren's Rope ability, right? And Synapse, which... that's the worst result for him. Alright. They did a bit of a mistake there, but I guess they don't... I guess they want to kill this guy off. I don't need the damage buff.
Are you ready? I go boom!
Alright, punch him. Now punch him! Punch him! And punch him some more. He has more taunt, but ooh. I'm almost in range to just straight up kill him with the big Crumpus. But I'm running out of steam too. So this is an awkward situation here. I don't know if they have any more cards with taunt. Let's see, is that stealth? Are you gonna get taunt? There's your taunt. A little unfortunate.
Get over here and face me claw.
Alright, so... this is awkward. I really should play more boys, try and overwhelm them.
Charge 'em, boys, just like a hornball.
The good news is you can't kill it without more buffs, but yeah, I think I'm out of steam here. Bit of the problem. I'm just barely out of reach. And I don't really have any spells to utilize effectively. Alright, Death Leaperd's not scary at the moment. It will if I can't kill him this turn, but I think I'm almost out of steam anyway. And if you give that taunt, it's a random choice, I think. He's not guaranteed to get taunt all the time. So I just don't know what all the options are for Tyrannus, so I don't know if he was lucky to get taunt, or if that was likely to occur or likely to be an option. But again, unless you have a spell, this Crumpus is going to kill you. It's at least going to kill the Hive Crone. I think it just comes down to what can you do if you remain 2 energy, which they're stalling. It looks like nothing. So we're going to try and draw an extra card, and we're just going to kill him.
Oh, maybe a skull of a stick.
I'll let the Warlord get the kill. Victory is ours! Even with them utilizing a legendary card, and I didn't really pay attention to what other cards they may have utilized. That was just the most noteworthy one. Which it was the right call to get the taunt. It's just, again, hard to really know what options were available to him, or how it even functions until we get to Tyranids ourselves. But I am curious, what were my options? Death Dread was a possibility, very unlikely due to the randomness, I won't lie. Get 'em Lads could have helped tremendously if I drew it. I only have a single one though. Let's see, Mucking About would have been really good at just immediately killing a target, especially before the Death Leaper came down. That could have been amazing. And without a doubt, the Shooter Boy could have helped there if I got early enough. Oh, Grot Bomb. I didn't get a single Grot Bomb there unless I discarded it. I honestly can't remember, but it was down to the wire. But we managed to pull off somehow. Necron. And I know, yeah, our Diviner, or let me just pick my cards first there. Do I really want the attack squig this early? This is better later on for a cheap way to deal with a threat. I want pressure, of course. And I have a little bit of that. What's his name?
Let's get some action, boys!
Orkhan, okay.
Is my weapon. Your pitiful mortality will be your ruin.
I do generally wonder if he's going to be doing the infamous Scarab deck, because their ability is they get to choose a card, or one of 3 cards rather, and then it goes to the top of their deck. Pretty impactful to always get the cards you want, but you need to have some good foresight for it to work. Now I'm just wondering, I sadly don't have any of my mob cards, which really sucks there, so I don't know when would be a good time to play my Grots. Is really the problem.
Who wants to taste me chopper first?
But I think the smart choice might be to play turn 3 and just overwhelm, because their big AoE doesn't come into effect until turn 5, or at least 5 energy rather. I keep mixing those two together because it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Okay, I gotta shoot a boy. It's a 50-50 chance that we kill him. It's a little unfortunate, but it means 2 points of damage to the Warlord if I don't get it, at least. Not ideal. Yeah, and unfortunately they do have a remnant there, but next turn I could just immediately kill it if he's infested in it. Which is actually difficult, because the reanimation is a single energy. There we go. And it took 3... That was 2 mana. I could easily deal with that. I'm not too scared. It's just a question, is that the right play? To keep the pressure going. Because they infested their entire turn on that, basically. I think it's the right choice. And then just punch it with a grot, and then punch him. An honest question if that was worth doing that or not. Because I didn't really get any extra board presence. But they were probably relying on that to live. Because as you can see, they infested their entire turn there. Alright, so they're not really going to be playing much anything. This is a good opportunity to go crazy. Gretchen mobs, Storm Boy, and then I can do the Get 'em Lads next turn. Do I want Get 'em Lads? Yeah, it's 3 points of damage. This will hurt a ton. It's just a shame I didn't have a proper mob character to actually play down. But if I get one next turn, if I randomly luck my draw, that would be great. But I think we already know what my next turn play might be. It's potentially 10 points of damage, although we know one of these Grots are going to die, just from the card alone. Alright. So that's unfortunate there. We'll have to get a little more. We'll have to get a little brute force-ish, or brute force-ish, whatever the hell I'm trying to say. So that'll be 5, 3 damage there, 2. Yeah, sadly I won't be able to kill the Tomb Blaze. A bit of the problem. If I do this. And I'm gonna lose all my board controls, a bit of a problem.
I'm bored. Where's the fire?
Yeah, this is unfortunate. But at least the Grot will get to live. No, I'm not gonna play it. Yeah, I think that blunted us quite heavily there. Just the armor alone is pretty strong, and yep, they're gonna reanimate quickly. So yeah, this probably is the weak link to this type of deck there. If I had somehow had an extra no mucking about, that would be really good at dealing with the momentum. I just sadly didn't have the damage to really capitalize on it. So now they're gonna try and reanimate, basically. And they have another spell, otherwise they would have done the reanimate before attacking with that blade. Tomb Blade. Yep, there you go. The actual ability itself. So unfortunately I think we've lost this. A little unfortunate. Yeah, and sadly stunning doesn't really help me a whole lot. Unfortunately. It's just delaying the inevitable, but I think this is a loss. They're able to relatively reliably get the cards that they want, but how could I have played a little bit differently to try and get that pressure in? Yeah, because now they're getting the big cards in. They're all 2 cost cheaper, keep in mind. So I'm just wondering, what could I realistically do here? I don't think there's really much I can do. This is pretty much over, sadly.
Oh, maybe I scout a mistake.
Yeah, because this... Yeah, even that's going to survive, sadly. And he could just reanimate is the problem, so...
Stop moving. I just want to hit your head.
Not a lot we could do there. We had good momentum. I'm just wondering what options I could have realistically done. Were there any cards that would help me there, or was it just luck of the draw? Which helped. Keep in mind, they were able to mitigate quite heavily, but it's still a one. They still choose between 3 random cards after all. And now he can pretty much kill me now. He's just, is he going to kill me? Or just gonna toy me? Toy with me there at this point. There we go. So yeah, just toying with us at this point. Rather than going for the kill. And sadly I don't have any legendary cards like the Ork Waaaagh to help at least deal with this, because this would be a mistake there. Because once I get 10 energy, if he continues to drag it out, then a rock comes down and maybe a taunt would... A single taunt, because there is like a legendary taunt creature I can utilize, can do a great deal of damage. Sadly, mob doesn't work here because I would need the melee attack. And a smart choice would be to try and do a range attack.
I'm stuck inside this thing and that makes me mad.
So this is over. Oh well. Again, it's an honest question. Was that really anything I could do? Is it a flaw in the deck? Because I don't know what I realistically could have done to fix that. In all honesty, I had decent momentum. But even then, they got... The real big play was them being able to reduce their entire deck, their troops by 2. So that's really hard to judge there. I couldn't have done enough damage. Actually, that's not true. If I was able to get some of those mob cards out, like this... Was it? Where the heck are they? The Shooter Boy and or the Banner Knob and Scarboy Knob. That could have made it at least a little bit closer, but I don't think it would have made a difference. Honestly wondered if I was screwed from the very beginning. Alright, Ultramarines. I don't like getting the squigs early because, again, they're not really helping me with momentum, and sadly I have no two energy cards either, which really sucks. But I am going second, to be fair.
Take them blue helmets, boys. They bring good orky luck. I will tear you down and destroy you in his name.
Have fun. Yeah, my momentum is going to be very awkward here with just not having a 2-drop. I have plenty of 3-drops, but no 2-drops. And that AoE ability is going to be a bit problematic because suddenly my Hornshelm boys are not all that intimidating at the moment. So I think what my plan is will go all out on the Grotz turn 3. He could still only kill 1 after all. But I really do... Okay, there we go. Problem solved. I could get something big and meaty for... Oh, I should have attacked. Not a big deal, but considering this is supposed to be aggro, whittling down their health is, regardless of me being at a deficit, is probably the most important thing.
The Emperor and the Primarch.
Alright, so they'll be able to kill 2 of the Grotz, so I'm not... And yeah, getting the boys is kind of pointless because they just died to the Warlord alone. The unfortunate truth of the matter. So hopefully I could set this up decently for our Knob, if I'm so lucky. And at least set him up for a kill, because I don't think they can Ultramarines have actually any means to increase the health of people. They do have the Apothecary, but that's not until 5 energy. I'm hoping to kill him before then. Oh, they do have the Storm Talon, is it? Yeah, I forgot I was going second, so Storm Talon attack could just kill all of them, which thankfully they do not have. It's flat 2 damage to everything. So it was a bit of a gamble there, but I don't think I really had much choice. Again, the Hornshelm boys were screwed. Alright, so I'm surprised you didn't... You should be trying to kill the one with 2 health, if I'm honest, because now these guys could survive from the blast. So I think that was a big mistake on their part. So we got the mucking about. So we're gonna punch. We're gonna lose a lot of Gretchen, but Inspired Retribution is still a thing too. I gotta be mindful of. So this is gonna be annoying because Ultramarines actually Ultramarines could immediately counter this, but it's more energy for them than it is me, but I do lose my tempo. So at the end of the day, if they use Inspired Retribution, is it really helping me? I dodged the bullet with the potential Storm Talon Strike, or whatever you call that ability. Although, I didn't really have much of a choice, I would argue. 2 damage, that's fine. You need to do more damage, though. It sadly will die, because I don't think I have anything to buff their health, but 7 damage, 8 damage is nothing to really scoff at. And they burnt their entire turn doing it. Now, how do I best want to do this? Because without that, I'm going to attack. There's no way I can help mitigate that, sadly. So I think just 2 boys. And just get ready for any retaliation.
Once all gets going, there ain't no stopping.
Alright, we have the lead and board presence. But they will still be able to kill one of my boys. With at least for 2 energy. Which denies them anything big and scary. Oh, there's the Storm Raven. That's what I was worried about earlier. It takes their entire turn. I'm not against that. Because now we get to play more Horn Boys. And set up for the Banner Knob next turn.
Charge 'em, boys, just like a whole roll.
So there, 2 minions that at least one will die alas, but still do 2 points of damage to the Warlord. And then the other one can strike for 5 points of damage. And it'll have 3 energy for stunning something that might be big and scary. And if they play something that's taunty or Vanguard that I have to worry about, then I just kill it. So I have answers, and I even have the Veteran Storm Boy as another potential option, but I don't think it's as good as our stun and just kill it. Hell, I have 2 of my mucking about, so I'm well protected. I'm just gonna lose minions.
Positions. We strike soon.
Okay, so someone's afraid of dying. They have to actually... Yep, there's taunt, but...
Guides us to victory.
Not really scared of them, but... Because my Banner Knob can just solve that problem and keep this guy alive. Now... How do I best want to do this? This will give me 3 energy. I'm half considering stunning and killing the Infiltrator. I'm not gonna lie. Because it's wasted damage that way. Because I got plenty of removal already for something big. There's the Shooter Boy. Hopefully we can set that up nicely next turn. So, anything big immediately dies. If they overinvest in that. I don't know if my opponent's aware of what I can do. But it's gonna hurt. And hell, I even could... Even if they play 2 dangerous minions with Vanguard, I could just destroy both of them. Sadly, our Horn Bulls are gone. Unfortunate, but at least the Banner Knob's still alive. Unless they play something else to kill it. And sadly, the Shooter Boy is probably the worst one to get the +1 attack, but it helps round out its stats, if nothing else. Okay. That's a good strategy there to help preserve themselves, but it leaves them with no tempo. Oh, this is... Oh, that's only for flank. For some reason, I was thinking of attacking the Warlord, but there is actually a trait in-game that allows you to just immediately charge the Warlord. I believe it's called Fast. But in this case, these guys wouldn't have it.
He's dead, killing.
I'm really tempted to stun the Warlord so I can hit hard next turn. I'm really tempted to do that, actually.
Once all gets going, there ain't no stopping.
I think this might be a good idea. Force them to play something with taunt. And as soon as they play it, well, guess what? I can kill it 2 times over. And anything weak, in theory, should not be able to deal with this outside of the few that he has that does direct damage to me. Or rather, does damage on, or rallies, what it's called there. Because, what is it? The Storm Raven's not going to save him by itself. Drawing cards isn't going to help. But we'll see what they could do. That's sadly going to kill the knob. Okay, not a threat.
Taking cover. Enemies in range.
Okay, they are pretty much dead. I can kill them all sorts of different ways. The smart choice would be the guarantee. Yeah, mucking about. I could double muck about and just charge in there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So yeah. Let's just kill the taunt. Let's not be flashy.
This place is no longer safe.
And that is game. That was fun. Although, I do honestly wonder what their strategy was. I was half expecting something big and scary. If I were completely honest. I don't know if they got bad draws or anything like that. That's always the caveat. I don't know if they were... If they could have been more dangerous that I should seriously consider. Like, again, did I just get... that Storm Raven? Or Raven Strike? I forget what it's called already, dang it, but... Was that the wrong play? Or was that... Was that super risky? Because again, any other 2 or 3 drops I would have played would have just died anyway, and that would not have cost him a card. Only the Shooter Boy would have survived, and even then, I would argue it's not worth its value in that case. At least in a lot of circumstances. Because they wouldn't even have used it on them if that was the only minion it had on the field. Let's be honest. So I'm wondering how I could have done that better, in all seriousness. I wonder if that was unnecessary risk. Alright, here it's again. We'll see how this opponent differs from the first one we played. But so far we have a positive win-loss ratio, so... Yeah, even more so because I had another opponent before this Nid match, and it was another Ultramarine, a different one, and for some reason they just shot themselves with one of their stratagems and just left. I don't know what their thought process was. Time to eat. And hopefully not get infested. Alright, stranded. So that's the one that can actually survive. Gonna be a little annoying, because that could actually deal with what I could play. I have to play something though, and it's only the Storm Boys. But at least they have to... Let's see. And I think... Ooh. This is a tough choice. Do I prepare for a Shooter Boy and hope the Grots... Is that a good idea? Or do I save that for the Banner Knob? Interesting. Very interesting. I don't know which is the smarter choice. Save this for the Banner Knob or the Shooter Boy. At least the Banner Knob allows me to focus the damage a little better, so I think I'll take that over to randomness. But I'm pretty certain the Storm Boy is about to die here, but at least it'll take it might take a Gauntlet Fit. If I'm lucky. Now you're going to attack it. And now I understand why it's a 2-cost card, because they could deal with it very comfortably. Easy enough kill. I should take the Shooter Boy here, should I? And then save the Horn's Helm for turn 6 energy, basically.
He's dead.
I think this is a much better position, and then I could Banner Knob if they don't handle this well. Okay, so I think that was the right choice. It's just hard to make that judgment call. Okay, so this looks like a Vanguard type of Nid, maybe. Because 4 mana for 5 damage is hard to really deal with that. And sadly, I don't have my taunts yet. I really should have had this guy over on the other side, but... let's do our damage.
Mount your skull of a stick.
Now, I think I leave him there to force him to attack with the Lictor. I think that might be the right choice. I don't think they have easy removal otherwise. And this guy just keeps shooting, and even if he stealths him, that's a big threat. Because of the randomness of orcs. It's a bit of a frustrating opponent to deal with when you rely on something that can't be targeted, if that's their strategy. I missed out on some damage, but this might be the more better tactical play. Because both of these are pretty big threats. I just sadly don't have a lot of flank there to deal with that. And I can basically kill that Lictor unless they buff it. Okay, so they're getting themselves some big Ripper squads. I like this play. I'm really liking this potential. I think I know what I'm going to do here. Oh, get flank. Okay. Now, what do we do here? We could play big boy. I don't think I want to do that.
Yes, boss. Yes, boss.
So I'm going to kill the Rippers. And then we're going to chance the 50-50 on the Lictor, which still will damage the Tervagant, but... give it a try. There we go. Both would have been acceptable, but that's the better tactical situation. I just am not in a good position aggressively, but I do have Get 'em Lads to do a world of hurt. It's just not ideal here. Alright. So we're just gonna make them miss. Do I just straight up kill that? Sadly, I have no mucking about. Can you imagine how amazing that would be right now? I could potentially kill that Gaunt right now, too, with the Shooter Boy. If, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a good chance to kill it. It's a pretty good chance to kill it. Sadly, Get 'em Lads doesn't help me. Is a bit of the problem.
Orky Daka is dead, Killy.
Oh, it's against us now, so odds are not likely we're gonna get the kill. Can we? 50-50 chance. Nope, didn't happen. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate, I would have loved that kill, because that was a 6 energy cost for just 2 grots. 3 grots, really. And now they're going to buff it up as a result. Which only goes to show how amazing no mucking about would have been here. So they're going to hit really hard. But this might be the window I need if they go face. It might be. Alright, just clearing the board there. I guess that's the right choice. Alright, so he's gambling on... Sadly, this turned too awkward for me because I'm not going to be able to play a minion, but he infested a lot of these gaunts. So let me try and kill him off. That is unfortunate. The luck of the draw didn't work that second time with the shooter boy. And now I think I'm about to lose this here. Yep, I have nothing to deal with that Malceptor. Because that shield ignores any damage. I do get a big scary minion, but this is not the situation I want. And he can kill it very comfortably. So I'm just wondering, how do I go about doing this? I can't really, it's the truth be told.
We're stuck inside this thing, and that makes me mad.
The unfortunate truth there. I didn't get my mucking abouts at all, which would have been amazing for that tempo. And as a result, I had to rely on luck, and luck was not in my favor. Okay, for that to actually work, you need to play Spore Mines, basically. Not much to really say. I think we're at a losing battle here at this point. Yeah, because I have nothing with flank. I didn't get my mucking about at all. So I think the smart choice would be just to concede now there, just to save us some time.
Don't want to kill you just yet. Let's scrap again another day.
Alright. So I got lucky killing the Lictor before, and got unlucky with the shooter boy, sadly. And that mainly would have just kept me in the game, and not really much else. We didn't get the hard removal to kind of deal with them reliably. So that's the caveat, that's the risk we play for being orcs, I guess. Alright, more Ultramarines. I don't know about the Grots. Okay, we got some decent plays here. Decent 2, decent 3. Just a matter of when can we use the Grots, because I would like something with Mob to justify them.
Take them blue helmets, boys. They bring good orky luck. I will tear you down and destroy you in his name.
The honest truth is, the Grots are probably the smart first turn play. He can only kill one of them.
Yes, boss. Yes, boss.
But it doesn't honestly help me. Oops, that's the wrong one. I want to get the Mob one, or the Tide. Because that Storm Boy is just going to die and give me no real value. Now, sadly, I don't have a Shooter Boy, which would be great here. Because I get 2 attacks, and that's a good chance to deal with anything that it might try and do. I don't know what... They got a lot of plays there. They could play a 3-drop card, which a lot of the 3-drops aren't too terribly resilient. Okay, so they're going to go for a double kill. Get no tempo at all, so this seems very stall base. Which means I need to get my no muckins about somehow. But here's something they can't deal with quickly. Next turn, once they stop fighting, they're going to do a lot of potential damage. Although, they could still do 2 damage a turn with his talent to do, what is it, his Orbital Strike? Or his Air Strike, I suppose. And as a result, it will die relatively quickly, but he should not be able to kill it at all this turn. So he basically leaves them in a situation where he can't play minions, or any infantry or troops. And as a result, he basically all but forfeits his turn, but he could have a scout still, to be fair. Nope, he's playing a 2-drop. Nope, just point blank shot. So there goes both of them. which isn't too shabby, although I did take the 3 points of damage. And we'll have 2 Storm Boys here. Good 4-drop there, I want to say, although I already had that as an option, to be fair.
Once all gets going, there ain't no stopping.
Bring in the Air Boys. They're not threatening until they start going. He can kill one, but he's not going to get to kill the other. But I'm still feeling this is very stall-based, so I really would like to get my mucking abouts. So I can prepare for him, because I'm not really getting any momentum here, sadly.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Yeah!
Okay, that's interesting. He just didn't even want to fight the Storm Boys, so what he probably has a Storm Raven, or whatever the heck that thing's called. Which is fine.
What's that stupid gobber you?
Yes, boss. Yes, boss.
Alright, that was a mistake not dealing with them. Now, technically, my Knob can deal with anything that he plays this turn. Any infantry. He could deal with 5/5s, 5/6s. Yep, I saw that coming. Which does beg the question if I should have had the Grot out. Okay, blind does not mean much, thankfully. Now, how to best do this? Because I already know he just played one of those, so let's get some more minions. I don't really have much of a choice but to... He can kill the Knob, so I should attack with it. Without a doubt. And then next turn... Currently he can only kill one. We saw him use both his shots. Oh, he has a second one. That really sucks. I don't think that was a gamble. I feel like that wasn't really a gamble, but that's unfortunate how that played out. But I could start bringing out more minions.
That stupid gobber yours.
So he very likely has Inspired Retribution as well, I'm going to assume. Because he's very stall base, and I still didn't get my mucking abouts yet to deal with his heavy hitting units. It feels very stall based, but the game is still pretty close to equal.
Trust in the Emperor at the hour of battle.
So that's just straight buffs units.
Temper your speed with faith and flame.
Okay, he's dead. No ifs, ands, or buts. He is dead. 4 and 6, yep. There. I don't know what to make of that deck. It was still down to the wire to an extent. And I like to think that was a pretty good display, despite my lack of cards. Let's see, we had technically 4 wins, although this one here, he just immediately left as soon as he saw me. So that wasn't a real match, but it still technically was 4 wins and, yeah, 2 losses. A good ratio there, although some of them were reigning above us there. Some of them, let's see, the Turvagon, Orkin, or Turvagon that had the legendary card apparently was low rating. Alright. Hard to say how good the matchmaking is, but that's a ratio I'm pretty happy with these boys, considering our limited deck roster. And I'm sure there are plenty of ways that it can be improved. Just to go into some of the cards I haven't unlocked yet, let's see. Unbridled Carnage could be a lot of fun, especially with the Grots. Probably not worth it. Hard to say if that's worth it like turn 4, or at least on 4 energy. If I play my 3 Grots, or play a bunch of Grots like I did so far in these matches. Hard to say, but that has a lot of promise. The Mega Knob Urgrak can be amazing potentially. Get a bunch of Slugger Boys that just swarm the board and fills up my hand pretty decently. That could be pretty good. Just a lot of things to fill up my hand a little bit and punish them if they don't clear the board. And the Warbiker, one of the epics, one of the actual flankers we do have, and also has the trait for fast, which allows me to just charge my opponent and potentially kill him, but with a very, very strict guideline to it. A lot of potential. Hard to say if I actually would want to stick with this deck, because let's see, here's the Warlord at epic level there. He just basically buffs up his attack, he gets armor and flying, which makes him pretty good at killing things by himself. I do wonder if there's like a build or a deck you can make where your Warlord does most of the fighting for you, and everything else is strictly support, if such a thing exists, for Orks. And then of course there's vehicle type play with the Spanners and other crazy mech boys. And then what about our legendary with Ghazghkull himself, the greatest war boss? He's all about just buffing the raw potential of your troops if they're already on the field, which honestly, he would be a far better choice than Gut Ripper or Face. Is it Gut Ripper or Face Ripper? Helps if I remember his name. Face Ripper. I think Ghazghkull would be so much better with how I designed the deck and utilize it, because then I don't have to play anything for basically a weaker effect of the Get 'em Boys, and I just have it at will all the time. Although he's a legendary, that would be something I would have to work towards still. That would be the biggest enhancement right there. But in either case, that has been the representation of the Orks. They've been fun little boys. They got nice little random abilities, fun nonsense, and some of their units are just silly. Like, of course, the Death Dread. I don't know if you heard his audio too much.
I stuck inside this thing, and that makes me mad.
The poor guy. He's stuck in that thing, and he's forever bitter about it. And of course, a Grot tank with the Grots fighting over who's driving.
I'm driving. Yeah, I'm driving.
They have a lot of little personality to them. At least some of them, at least. But anyways, thank you everyone for watching. That was a fun time. And I will see you next time.